together?
Fun, like.
Do we not have fun together?
Is that a trick question?
Okay, we don't.
There's no right answer.
We don't have fun together.
You guys are always laughing. It's great. It's great.
No, we're not.
Yes.
I'm glad I have both of you to articulate what I'm thinking in my mind.
We got you.
I like that. Hey, Diddy, I like that hat you're wearing.
You know, it wasn't shocking. These things happen. These things happen.
What can you tell us about what went wrong in the marriage?
I'll tell you that it wasn't some sensationalistic happening.
Infidelity.
No, absolutely not. Nothing sensationalistic.
It takes a lot to overcome. It takes a lot of strength to overcome those things in your life, baby. Everybody knows. We've all been through stuff like that, you know?
Marc Anthony kept his mouth shut for years when it came to J.Lo and Diddy. People figured he was just staying cool, minding his business after the divorce, playing it smooth. But now, turns out there might have been a whole twisted plot in the background. According to explosive leaks tied to the Diddy investigation, there's word that someone tried to wipe Marc off the map, allegedly to keep him from spilling what he knew. Court whispers say Marc's finally hinting that both Diddy and J.Lo wanted him silenced for good. Why? Because he supposedly knew way too much about some shady business they were mixed up in. And let's be real, this ain't sounding like some random drama anymore. It's giving serious cover-up vibes. Remember that weird fall Marc had backstage a few years ago? Looked like an accident, but now it's raising eyebrows all over again. Add to that the suspicious timing of Marc suddenly pulling back while Diddy and J.Lo's relationship was crashing and burning. Coincidence? Hard to believe. Marc had a front row seat to the mess. He saw the secrets, the sneaky moves, and all the real drama that was bubbling behind the scenes. Now that Diddy's legal situation is heating up, Marc's voice is finally being heard, and it's making people wonder, did they really try to shut him down permanently to keep their skeletons buried? Before we go deeper, we gotta rewind for a second and talk about how this all started, with J.Lo and Marc Anthony looking like the dream team. The red carpets, the glitz, the Latin royalty energy, and of course, their twin babies. From the outside, it looked like pure magic. But what was really going on behind that perfect image? But behind all that red carpet shine, there was major tension brewing. J.Lo jumped into dating Marc Anthony not long after her explosive split from Diddy. And let's be honest, the timing was way too close for comfort. People back then were already side-eyeing the situation, joking about how she went from a hip-hop kingpin to a salsa icon overnight. It was giving overlap vibes, no doubt. And J.Lo's ever-growing engagement ring collection? Yeah, it's reaching legendary status. No shade, but it's getting wild out here. Her first husband, Ojani Noah, even crawled out the shadows and dropped a bomb, claiming J.Lo was at Diddy's infamous parties and allegedly appeared in one of those sketchy videos that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. He said what he said, but let's keep it real. That's just his side. Still, it got people asking the same thing they've wondered for years. Why didn't Marc Anthony ever speak up? Why was he always right there during interviews, standing behind her with that classic smile, clapping like nothing shady ever went down?
You brought back a whole bunch of people, didn't you? Envido la mente.
What?
Too much talking. Nigger.
Word on the street is that Marc was playing it safe, like really safe. Behind the scenes, insiders say he was actually scared for his life. And after that chaotic 99 Club incident, which we'll dive into later, some folks even started calling her Jenny with the Glock. It sounds wild, but again, whispers say Marc knew way too much. Look at the timeline. Right after J.Lo and Diddy break up, she's suddenly with Marc? That wasn't just a cute rom-com moment. It had real danger floating around it. And don't forget, J.Lo stuck with Diddy long after their romance faded. It wasn't until legal trouble started swirling, especially that infamous 1999 nightclub shooting, that she finally dipped out. That's when she made her sharp exit, right into Marc's arms. Suspicious, you decide. That switch-up was massive. J.Lo had clearly reached her limit with Diddy's gangster image. It just wasn't working anymore. But now, people are starting to look at their relationship in a whole new light. Was it really about love, or was it always business from the jump? Their vibe was giving more boss and protege than anything romantic. Think Whitney Houston and Clive Davis, but messier and way more dangerous. See, Diddy's known for taking young talent under his wing. Justin Bieber, Mary J. Blige, Usher, and yep, J.Lo too. It's part of his pattern. And here's the twist. J.Lo was signed to Epic Records, which falls under Sony, the same powerhouse behind Bad Boy Entertainment, Diddy's own label. You catching the connection now? It's all part of a bigger machine.
Because he helped me a lot. He was kind of like a mentor in a way. Not a mentor, but like guided me. He had a way of communicating that put it very plainly, like, don't do that, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. Don't forget, like, and I was smart enough to sponge up the things that were.
This wasn't some emotional ex storyline. When J.Lo speaks on her time with Diddy, it's not like she's reminiscing about a past flame. It sounds more like she's describing a former boss, a powerful gatekeeper who had control over her career and her image. And somewhere in that mix, things turned physical, things turned visible. That jaw-dropping Versace dress moment, it wasn't just fashion, it was a calculated move.
Jennifer, this is the first time in 5 or 6 years that I'm sure that nobody is looking at me.
That's very sweet of you.
Now folks are questioning everything. Was that flashy romance just a cover? A carefully staged PR setup to hide something way darker? And here's where it really gets wild. Rumors say Marc Anthony was devastated when he found out what allegedly went down during J.Lo's so-called mentorship with Diddy. Sources claim he got the info while performing in Panama, and it hit him like a truck. If that's true, then this whole narrative is about more than music and love. It's about manipulation, power, and survival in the shadows of the industry. Marc Anthony's so-called accident wasn't as innocent as the headlines made it sound. The story was he hurt his back after slipping on some stairs backstage. But don't fall for that press release spin. Insiders say it was no clumsy mishap. It was a hit gone wrong. Word is, Diddy allegedly sent some of his muscle to take Marc out, quietly, cleanly, and without drama. They wanted it to look like just another backstage blunder. But Marc survived. Barely, and suddenly things weren't adding up. The timing, way too convenient. Around that same period, whispers about Diddy's shady dealings were starting to bubble, even before Cassie and Lil Rod's lawsuits hit the fan. Marc, allegedly, was sitting on some serious dirt. We're talking receipts that could have had Diddy locked up for good. And here's where it gets even more messed up. People claim J.Lo knew. Not only did she know, but she supposedly stood by and let it all unfold. And honestly, it wouldn't be that surprising if she did. Think about it. If Marc had been taken out by accident, she'd dodge all the drama. No ugly divorce, no messy custody battles, and no risk of him exposing her or Diddy's secrets. It would have made her life way easier if he'd just disappeared. But that's not even the worst part. This wouldn't be the first time J.Lo's been accused of looking the other way while Diddy did people dirty. Let's not forget Kim Porter. She tragically passed in 2018. And if you know, you know. There's still mystery and suspicion around her death, and people are starting to connect the dots. Since day one, people online have been side-eyeing the official cause of Kim Porter's death. The report claimed it was pneumonia, but the internet wasn't buying it. And honestly, they still aren't. Now that more and more alleged victims are stepping up in this takedown of Diddy, the spotlight is swinging back to Kim's case, and everything is being picked apart. Even Al B. Shore, Kim's ex and the father of her son, straight up said he doesn't believe that pneumonia story for a second. He's publicly stated that he knows Kim didn't pass away from natural causes, and he's ready to testify about it in the current case. And here's where it gets really messy. Word is, Jennifer Lopez was in the know the whole time.
A lot of the stuff, came to surprise, but a lot of the stuff will be revealed because...
You have volunteered to testify at the trial, correct?
Not as of yet. Actually, I was subpoenaed.
Okay.
So my attorneys worked something out. So I believe when the time is right, I'm going to discuss it with my attorneys.
But you're willing to?
Oh, absolutely.
Allegedly, back in the day, J.Lo was aware of Diddy's behavior toward Kim. The talk is she heard things, saw things, and stayed silent. Since it wasn't happening to her, she stayed in her lane, kept quiet, secured her bag, and kept it moving.
He never tried to, straight up, talk to her crazy or anything around people. Never. I never even heard him raise his voice.
And now, J.Lo's reportedly pulling a vanishing act. Rumor says she jetted off to Bali. Same move Russell Simmons made when the heat got turned up on him. Some folks are convinced she's dodging subpoenas and trying to stay off the radar to avoid being dragged into legal mess. The internet's been ruthless. One person even commented, "Run to Bali like Russell Simmons." With everything coming out and names getting pulled into this storm, people are starting to wonder, how much did J.Lo really know? And how far did she go to keep her hands clean? You have no talent, J.Lo, so no one will miss you. That was just one of the many cold comments flooding the internet lately. But the vibe gets way darker when you hear what one of Diddy's alleged victims, Misha, claimed. In a chilling interview, she said J.Lo saw Diddy doing horrible things to her. And what did J.Lo do? Absolutely nothing. She didn't step in, didn't speak up, didn't lift a finger.
I remember he did what he did to me, and then when it was time for Jennifer Lopez, she was there with a guy, and he was sitting there looking disgusted, but didn't nobody save me. She stuck to me, and after that, but my eyes were booked the whole.
At this point, people are saying it loud. J.Lo's not just connected to Diddy, she's being accused of flat-out complicity. And here's another twist. J.Lo herself has publicly admitted to having an affair in the past. She's hinted at it in interviews, even touched on it in her music, but she never dropped a name. Still, fans have been putting the pieces together, and all signs point to Diddy.
It takes a lot to overcome. It takes a lot of strength to overcome those things in your life, baby. Everybody knows. We've all been through stuff like that, you know?
Now brace yourself. Rumor says he was the one who hurt her, but instead of speaking out, she stayed silent. Just like Cassie allegedly had that disturbing footage of her time with Diddy, word is that Marc Anthony also saw things, like Diddy putting hands on J.Lo, and stayed quiet. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of pressure, or maybe because he knew the danger that came with getting too close to the truth. Now the public wants answers. People are flooding social media demanding that J.Lo stop dodging the conversation. They want her to quit hiding behind vague comments and finally tell the truth. If anything like what happened to Cassie ever happened to her, folks are saying it's time to speak up. It's time for J.Lo to stop protecting Sean and start protecting the truth. The fact that J.Lo still hasn't made a single public statement, that says everything. She's staying completely silent, no interviews, no cryptic IG captions, not even a PR attempt to spin the narrative, nothing but ghost mode. She's clearly trying to scrub her connection to Diddy and disappear from the chaos. But at this point, the silence is screaming. And here's the real ticking time bomb, the 1999 nightclub shooting. That's the one event that could blow the lid off everything between Diddy and J.Lo if those old rumors turn out to be true. If that case gets reopened, it's curtains for both of them. Let's rewind. Everyone remembers Shine. He took the fall that night. He stayed loyal, did his 10 years, never snitched, never folded. But the betrayal, oh, it cut deep. Diddy and J.Lo walked away and left him hanging.
Taking the fall means not snitching, not getting your friends in trouble. Even today, I wouldn't want to do anything to get anyone.
The system might have moved on, but the streets and the courts haven't forgotten what went down. Now Shine's out here speaking his truth. He says he's forgiven Puff, but make no mistake, they're not cool. No friendship, no reunion, and he might not be looking for revenge. But guess who is? The witnesses.
It was just craziness.
Oh, you hear?
Pow, pow, pow.
Next thing I know, me and this nigga on the floor, looking at each other. Like, oh, we like, yo.
Enter Natanya Rubin. She was caught in the crossfire that night. Literally. Sis got shot and still has gun fragments in her face to this day. But now that the spotlight's back, she's ready to step all the way forward. She's saying she's willing to let doctors remove the bullet fragments from her body just to use them as evidence in court. That's how far she's prepared to go to finally expose what happened that night. And that's the part that has people shook. Because if she steps forward and the case reopens, it won't just drag Diddy back in. It might drag J.Lo down with him.
A woman who shot in the face, who still has bullet fragments 2 inches from her spine. She has 2 children. She has her own business. What is she to do now?
I didn't suffer. I'm willing to have a doctor remove a part of the 9mm bullet in my face so that they can use it as evidence for this trial. And it may cost me my life, but that I'm willing to.
One witness came forward with a bombshell, claiming J.Lo wasn't just a bystander, during the 1999 club shooting. She was right in the mix, allegedly helping Diddy behind the scenes. According to her, J.Lo acted as Diddy's go-between, helping him ditch the weapon and sneak out the back door before the cops could lock anything down. If that's true, it's next level shady. Now imagine all the things J.Lo might have let slip during those private moments with Marc Anthony. If she was really part of the cover-up, even unintentionally, Marc could have picked up everything. And if he truly knows what went down that night, how it was planned, cleaned up, and swept under the rug, they'd have every reason to keep him quiet too. Allegedly, both Diddy and J.Lo worked overtime to erase every trace of that night from history. And here's where things go full legal thriller. Rumors say they paid off witnesses and maybe even jurors to twist the outcome of the trial. Money was flowing, and with both of them at the top of their game, fame, fortune, and powerful connections, they came out untouched. Meanwhile, Shine sat in prison, holding it all in. People are starting to ask if the courtroom that day was more of a performance than justice.
Puff had witnesses that come in to testify against Shine and said they saw Shine do the shoot.
Was the whole trial a staged show to protect the golden duo? But here's the real jaw-dropper. It's been whispered that Diddy and J.Lo were secretly married. Yeah, like legally tied together behind closed doors. If that's true, it would have made J.Lo legally protected from testifying against Diddy in court. A silent shield that kept the truth locked down while both of them walked free. Now that this info is bubbling back up, it's not just scandal anymore. It's potentially criminal. Now here's the twist Marc Anthony's allegedly been holding on to. If that secret marriage between Diddy and J.Lo was never officially dissolved before she got with Marc, that's a game changer. Because once that gets exposed, it'll show J.Lo's excuse for not testifying was just smoke and mirrors. And if that lie gets cracked open, the feds are sliding in fast, and it's gonna shake everything up. That hidden union wouldn't just be scandalous, it would prove the entire situation was a cover-up, a legal shield cooked up to protect Diddy and J.Lo from ever facing real heat in court.
And then there's also the rumor that got covered up very quick on why she didn't testify at the trial on Diddy's behalf or anyone's behalf for that matter. Rumor has it, they got secretly married. So she didn't.
But buckle up, because this next part might be the wildest twist yet. Reports are swirling that J.Lo and Ben Affleck's recent split wasn't just about differences or celebrity stress. Allegedly, Ben saw some dark recordings, freak-off footage from J.Lo's past involving Diddy, and it completely flipped him out. He wasn't just uncomfortable. Word is, he was terrified. Here's the crazy part. Sources claim their divorce was quietly finalized right around the same time Diddy was taken into custody. Coincidence? Maybe. But insiders say Ben started worrying that he'd seen too much. Or worse, that J.Lo might have told him too much during late-night pillow talk, private conversations, confessions, the kind of stuff that could get a person marked. And let's be real, we've all seen what happens to people who get too close to Diddy and his secrets. Ben allegedly feared that if Diddy and J.Lo really had ties to criminal activity from back in the day, and if J.Lo had ever let something slip, he could become a target too. While there's no official record saying Ben feared for his life, the timing, the sudden silence, and all these behind-the-scenes whispers are raising eyebrows. Something about it all just doesn't sit right. And the streets are watching closely. When you start connecting the dots, a seriously dark picture comes into focus. And let's keep it real, Marc Anthony may have been this close to becoming another alleged victim caught in the twisted web Diddy and J.Lo were spinning. Why? Because he knew too much, and after all these years, it looked like he wasn't planning to stay silent any longer. Maybe he overheard something. Maybe he witnessed it with his own eyes. Whatever it was, it put a target on his back. Allegedly, Marc was ready to blow the lid off secrets they buried deep, and that made him a serious threat. The kind you don't just ignore. And that's why we gotta talk about this. This whole story is way too wild, too tangled, and too serious to just let slide. So I'm putting it in your hands now. What do you think? Was Marc Anthony's life really at risk because of what he knew? Could J.Lo have played a part in a long-term cover-up tied to Diddy's past? And do you think the 1999 nightclub shooting could come back to haunt everybody involved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next bombshell. This story's far from over. See you on the next one.